Have you ever noticed how your mood shifts after scrolling through social media? In today's digital age, protecting our mental health while staying connected is more important than ever. Whether you're consuming content or creating it, I'm going to share essential strategies for maintaining your peace online. In last week's episode, we explored different creator archetypes and how they shape content. If you haven't heard that episode yet, I would recommend checking it out first to understand these archetypes, because we'll be using them to explore potential triggers as viewers of content creator, and people who are well on their way to become one. I haven't left you out because for your section, we are going to be focusing on boundaries while building community. So whether you're here as a viewer seeking a healthier digital lifestyle or a creator looking to build a mindful online presence, let's just dive into the strategies that will help you create a more positive digital experience. Before we start, I should probably back up and introduce myself. My name is Elijah, but everyone calls me Lay. If you're new here or returning, welcome to A Little Atypical, your cozy corner on the internet where we explore wellness, leveling up our personal growth game, and chatting about all things lifestyle. Last week, we kicked off our monthly topic, digital wellness. I ended the episode with a reflection question asking you to think about strategies for making your digital experience more positive. I promised to share suggestions in this episode for those wanting a little extra guidance. So, as a woman of my word, we are here to improve your digital experience. This episode has a lot of sections and questions, so I'm going to give a quick rundown of the structure of this episode before diving in. First, we are going to start with understanding how different types of content affects us as viewers. When we scroll through our feed, we aren't just passively consuming information. We're absorbing emotions, perspectives, and sometimes even unconscious triggers. Being aware of these influencers is the first step towards creating a healthier digital environment for ourselves. Next, I'm going to continue the focus on us as viewers, since it is more of a universal experience than being a creator. I'll share techniques for mindful consumption. It will be 100% action orientated, and I promise you I won't just tell you to log off and touch grass. For creators and aspiring creators, we'll explore ways to maintain your well-being while pursuing your goal to create content. Let's get into it. The 8 archetypes I listed from the previous episode was 1, the influencer, 2, the reviewers, 3, the tellers, 4, the teachers, 5, the analyst, 6, the judges, 7, the performers, and 8, the baiters. In this section, I'll be listing the potential reasons the archetype can trigger you, examples of triggering scenarios, and I'm also adding reflection questions so you can ask yourself about the root cause of why the archetype triggers you. A lot of times when we get triggered, it is actually less about the other person and more about our own life experiences. So, fair warning, this episode is probably going to end up a bit longer than I like to produce, but I recommend getting a notebook so you can write down the questions, and if something about the wording of the questions don't make sense, you can use AI to paraphrase them or give them a breakdown of the question. First up, the influencer. The influencer may trigger us by presenting an idealized lifestyle that can make our own daily experiences feel inadequate, especially if we're struggling financially or feeling unfulfilled in our careers. Their carefully curated content often masks the real effort behind their success, leading viewers to develop unrealistic expectations about work-life balance and career progression. Additionally, their constant product promotions and lifestyle recommendations can create a sense of urgency around consumption, which triggers financial anxiety and FOMO, fear of missing out, particularly those already dealing with the economic insecurity. So, moving on to some triggering scenarios. 1, constant product recommendations making you feel like your current possessions are inadequate or outdated. 2, limited time offers creating artificial urgency and anxiety about missing out on deals. 3, Lifestyle content showing perfectly curated homes, outfits, or routines that feel unattainable. 4. Must have seasonal items that pressure you into unnecessary purchases. On to the reflection questions. When an influencer promotes a product, what emotions arise? Are you feeling inspired or inadequate? Do you notice yourself making impulsive purchases during limited times offers? What void are you trying to fill? How does your perception of your life change after viewing influencer content? What beliefs about success and happiness are you adopting from influencer content? Are your purchasing decisions driven by genuine need or influenced by FOMO? How does seeing influencers' seemingly effortless success affect your perception of your own hard work and career path? Do you find yourself feeling resentful when influencers present their lifestyles as easily achievable while you're working traditional hours? How often do you catch yourself assuming influencer work is easy money despite not seeing the behind the scenes effort? When influencers share their success stories, do you notice feelings of frustration about your own financial situation? How does watching influencers monetize their daily life affect your feelings about your own work-life balance? Next, the reviewers. The reviewers can trigger us because they position themselves as objective experts, potentially making us question our own judgment and experiences. Their critique, even when well intended, may fuel unnecessary doubt or influence on our perception of products we already own and enjoy. Some examples of triggering scenarios include negative reviews on products you already purchased and liked, causing post-purchase anxiety or doubt. Technical or detailed critiques that make you feel uninformed about your purchasing decisions. Contradicting reviews from different reviewers, creating decision paralysis. Reviews that make you feel guilty about choosing more affordable alternatives. So, some reflection questions I listed for this archetype is: how much weight do you give to reviewer opinions versus your own experiences with products? Do you find yourself second guessing purchases after watching review content? What roles does your budget play in how you respond to reviewers' recommendations? Are you seeking validation for your choices through reviews or generally looking for information? How often do you wait for reviews before making a purchase you actually need? Do negative reviews of products you own make you question your taste or judgment? How does seeing someone criticize something you like affect your self-confidence? When reviewers point out flaws in products you enjoy, do you feel defensive or embarrassed about liking them? Do you find yourself doubting your ability to make good purchasing decisions after watching critical reviews? How often do negative reviews make you feel ashamed about your preferences or choices? Number 3, the tellers. The tellers may trigger us because they often present emotionally charged content that can be manipulative or sensationalized. Their storytelling format can draw us into drama and conflict, potentially affecting our emotional well-being and perspectives on situations. Some examples of triggering scenarios with this type of archetype is dragging out dramatic stories across multiple parts, creating unnecessary anxiety and emotional investment, sharing one-sided perspective of interpersonal conflicts that influences the viewer's judgment, using emotional manipulation techniques to keep viewers engaged in potentially toxic content, and presenting triggering content without adequate warnings or consideration for viewer sensitivity. So, this is how you can reflect. How does consuming dramatic storytelling content affect your mood and anxiety levels? Do you find yourself getting emotionally invested in strangers' conflicts and drama? Are you spending excessive time waiting for story updates instead of focusing on your own life? How often do you fact check or Consider alternative perspectives to the stories that you hear. What emotional needs are you trying to fulfill by engaging with this type of content? Does following dramatic content serve as a distraction from addressing your own personal challenges? How does witnessing other struggles make you feel about your own life situation? Are you using dramatic content as a form of escapism for your own reality? Do you find yourself feeling better about your own life choices when hearing about others' mistakes or misfortunes? Next up, the teachers. Teachers may trigger us because they often present information from a position of authority. And as we know, a lot of people actually struggle with authority, and this can make us feel inadequate about our current knowledge or progress. Their instructional content, while well intended, might create feelings of being overwhelmed or impose unrealistic expectations for learning and growth. Some examples of this is presenting complex information in a way that makes you feel behind or intellectually inferior. 2, setting unrealistic expectations for how quickly knowledge can be acquired. 3, making you feel guilty about not implementing their advice or following their methods exactly. And 4, creating pressure to constantly learn and improve, leading to burnout. For this one, I asked you to reflect on how does educational content make you feel about your current skill level or knowledge? Are you setting realistic expectations for your learning journey, or are you trying to match the pace of the person presenting the information? Do you feel pressure to implement every piece of advice you receive from educational content? What's driving your desire to learn? Is it genuine interest or the fear of falling behind? How often do you compare your progress to the expertise of this archetype? How have past negative experiences with teachers or authority figures influenced your willingness to engage with educational content? Do you find yourself resisting or dismissing educational content as a protective response to past academic trauma? How might labels or criticism from your school years be affecting your current relationship with learning? Are you avoiding certain types of educational content because it reminds you of subjects or situations where you felt misunderstood and unsupported? When you encounter teaching styles that don't match your learning preferences, do you tend to disengage completely rather than seek alternatives? Next up, the analyst may trigger us because their in-depth analysis and intellectual approach can make us feel intellectually inadequate or challenge our previously held beliefs about things we like and enjoy. Unlike teachers who focus on building knowledge step by step, analysts often present complex interpretations that can make us feel our simple enjoyment of content is somehow less valid or sophisticated. Examples of this can be presenting complex academic theories that make casual enjoyment of media feel wrong or shallow, deconstructing beloved content in ways that change our perspective or enjoyment of it, making viewers feel intellectually inferior for not catching deeper meanings or cultural references, creating anxiety about missing important social commentary or deeper meanings in everyday media consumption. So, how does analytical content affect your ability to enjoy media casually? Do you feel pressure to develop more sophisticated interpretations of the content you consume? Are you avoiding certain content because you feel you don't understand it deeply enough? How often do you find yourself dismissing your own interpretations in favor of a more analytical perspective? What drives your engagement with the analytical content? Is it interest in a deeper understanding or a fear of appearing superficial? How do intellectual analysts of cultural experiences different from your own make you feel, and why might those feelings arise? When someone presents a historical or philosophical perspective that challenges your cultural beliefs, what emotions or thoughts come up first? How does your personal or cultural background influence your receptiveness to different interpretations of shared experiences? When analytical content challenges your lived experiences or cultural understanding, how do you balance respecting both perspectives? What role does your cultural identity play in how you receive and process analytical content about social issues? Next up is the judges. So, the judges may trigger us because their quick, often harsh judgment of others can activate our own insecurities and fear of judgment. Their reactive content style can normalize cynicism and negative criticism, potentially affecting how we view ourselves and others. Some scenarios, harsh critiques of similar content to what you create or enjoy, leading to self-doubt or shame, mock reactions that make light of genuine efforts or vulnerable moments from other creators, encouraging pile-ons or negative engagement with other creators' content, and making snap judgments without context or promoting a culture of quick criticism. How does watching reaction content affect your view of other creators and their work? Do you find yourself adopting more critical or negative perspectives after consuming judgment style content? Are you letting these quick judgments influence your own creative expression or authenticity? How often do you catch yourself making snap judgments about others based on limited information? What draws you to watch reaction content, entertainment, or validation of your own opinions? What emotional responses do you experience when watching others being critiqued, and why might that be triggering for you? How does your personal history with receiving criticism affect how you engage with the reaction content? Moving on to the performers. The performers may trigger us because they often showcase highly polished skills and talents that can make us feel inadequate about our own abilities or creative expressions. While their display of expertise is inspiring, it also might create unrealistic expectations around artistic development and success. So, making complex skills look effortless, leading to unrealistic expectations about learning curves, showcasing perfect performances that diminish the visibility of practice and mistakes, creating pressure to participate in trending challenges beyond one's current skill level, presenting a curated journey that hides the true effort and time invested in the skill development. How does watching highly skilled performers affect your confidence in your own creative journey? Are you setting unrealistic expectations for your own artistic development based on what you see online? Do you find yourself avoiding creative expression due to comparison with performers? What role does validation play in your creative practice versus personal enjoyment? How often do you acknowledge and celebrate your own progress rather than comparing to others? What past experiences or beliefs might be contributing to feelings of inadequacy when watching skilled performers? Are you allowing yourself to enjoy the process of learning, or are you focusing too much on achieving perfection? How might your relationship with competition and achievement be influencing your response to performer content? What would it look like to appreciate others' talents while still honoring your own unique creative styles and journey? Lastly, we have the baiters. Baiters may trigger us because they intentionally manipulate emotions and create controversy for attention. Unlike judges who focus on critiquing content or the tellers who share stories naturally, baiters deliberately manufacture drama and controversy solely to provoke strong emotional responses and increase engagement. Some examples include creating inflammatory content about sensitive topics just to provoke outrage and emotional responses. Repeatedly engaging in harmful behavior, followed by insincere apologies designed to maintain engagement. Exploiting real-world issues or tragedies for views and attention. deliberately spreading misinformation or half truths to create drama and controversy. Why do you find yourself engaging with content you know is designed to provoke negative emotions? How does consuming controversy driven content affect your mood and well being? Are you contributing to the cycle of outrage by engaging with or sharing baiting content? What emotional needs are being met by engaging with controversial content? How can you redirect your attention to more constructive content that aligns with your values? What emotional void or unmet need makes you repeatedly engage with manipulative content, even when you recognize it is harmful by nature? How does your past experiences with conflict or drama influence your tendency to get drawn into online arguments with people trying to provoke you? What beliefs about yourself are being triggered when you feel compelled to defend your position against obvious bait content? How might your desire for validation or recognition be driving your engagement with controversial content creators? What fears or insecurities prevent you from simply blocking and moving on when you encounter content that you do not like? So, now that we explored potential triggers, let's talk about protecting our mental health and well being online. While some people might view this as being self centered, but there's an important distinction to make. It's not about staying uninformed or turning a blind eye to important issues. Rather, it's about being intentional about how we consume content so we can stay engaged with the world in a healthy, sustainable manner. Think about it like managing your energy levels throughout the day. Just as we need breaks between activities to recharge and to process experiences, we need thoughtful pauses in our digital consumption. Similar to how you wouldn't try to have 10 intense conversations simultaneously, not because the conversations aren't important, but because our minds need time to properly engage and process each interaction. When we're constantly bombarded with information without breaks, it's like trying to drink from a fire hose. The issue isn't the water itself, but our capacity to take it all in. By creating intentional spaces between our digital interactions, we give ourselves the mental bandwidth to fully process, reflect, and engage meaningfully with the content we consume, rather than just being overwhelmed or emotionally exhausted. While we can't control what others post or how they express themselves, we can control our own engagement. So I'm going to give a few ideas that don't involve just getting off your phone and touching grass because, as we covered, technology is very engraved in our lives. And knowing that is hard to completely go off the grid if you want things like job opportunities, new friends, attend to cool events, find a community, etc. So my first suggestion is pair mindless scrolling with a healthy habit or healthy habits to gradually break the habit of scrolling. A negative behavior into a balanced activity by incorporating something like movement and mindfulness into the practice of screen time. This approach naturally builds the break through wellness activities rather than just trying to completely eliminate the habit of scrolling immediately. You can gradually shift them into healthier behaviors that benefit both physically and mental well-being. So some examples is you can do light stretches or simple exercises while scrolling. You can scroll only while taking a walk on a treadmill or using an exercise bike. You can practice deep breathing between posts. Drink water after every few minutes of scrolling. You can stand or walk around your space instead of sitting while you're scrolling. Second thing, find a variety of content creators. So what people post isn't always a complete reflection of who they are or how much they care about issues. People use platforms for many different reasons. By following diverse creators, we can reduce the stress of why isn't blank talking about this and avoid disappointment from parasocial relationships. This approach also gives smaller creators a chance to shine in their specialty area. Instead of having expectations of creators who may or may not spread misinformation or may not have the skills to articulate complex topics like a digital general store of information, allowing people to showcase their specialties prevents monopolization of algorithms and promotes other talents to be recognized. 3. Create themed content collections. Organize safe posts into categories like inspiration, learning, feel good moments to curate positive experiences. So instead of mindlessly scrolling through your main feed when you open the app, make it a habit to visit these curated collections first. This way, you can start your social media session with content you intentionally save for it to be a positive impact rather than being at the mercy of whatever the algorithm wants to show you. 4. Designate specific time windows for different platforms. Schedule your social media usage based on platform purpose and energy levels. For example, I personally use Pinterest in the morning because Pinterest in the morning can promote inspiration and creativity. And for platforms like Instagram or TikTok, you can limit them to afternoon hours or using them between 12 to 7 p.m. to maintain better focus and emotional balance throughout the day. 5. Set intention-based scrolling/browsing goals. Before opening an app, decide what you want to accomplish, whether it's learning something new, finding inspiration, or connecting with specific people. Having a clear purpose helps prevent mindless scrolling and makes your time online more intentional and productive. This can also help you choose which platforms to use. For example, Pinterest for inspiration, LinkedIn for professional learning, Instagram for connecting with friends, etc. Number 6, and this is our final one, practice reflective consumption. Before and after engaging with content, check in with how you're processing the information emotionally and mentally. Ask yourself questions like, how is this making me feel? What thoughts am I having? Is this information helping me grow or just causing stress? And how much of what I just scrolled through can I actually remember? This mindful approach helps you become more aware of the different types of content and how it affects your mental state and whether you're truly absorbing the information or just mindlessly consuming it. This awareness allows you to make better decisions on what to consume and how active you are when engaging with content. Moving on to the next section. We are done with the viewers, so we are finally going to move on to the content creators. And this is 100% biased, but I was so relieved to get to this part because truthfully, I was stressed about making the previous section because how intentional my process of creating is. I don't necessarily know what creator archetype I fall under for most people, but I guess on this corner of the internet, I would probably lean more into the teacher or the analyst type, at least on this podcast. I feel like if you made it to this section or skipped to it, you can relate to the feeling of people only knowing the results. So I'm going to list some things about pursuing content creation that did contribute to poor mental health days. And if you are a creator on any level, you can relate to this. So stay to the end for some tips on how to manage. Even if you're listening to this as someone who doesn't create, I hope you can view this part as a glimpse into the process of wanting to build a platform. I also will add a lot of these experiences do contribute to traits about me and my experiences. So here we go. First off, being indecisive about what I want to express and how I want to express it. Trying to fit it in my life as I work on other aspects and categories of my life. The stress of doing extra research to make sure what I said isn't misinformation. Being cautious on my wording and how I say things. Wondering if I went to another niche, if I would do better in it. Wondering if I change my tone, if the message I'm trying to get out will still make sense. Wondering if I present myself differently aesthetic wise if more people would listen to what I have to say. Wondering if I should focus on one content form instead of doing multiple. Essentially, from my perspective, a huge part of a creator's downfall mentally is comparison, expectations, decision fatigue, time management struggles, and yes, depending on whether you are a smaller creator or a larger creator or what age you found success as a creator can influence what contributes to your mental health. So, here are some things I believe that makes a huge difference. First up, create content you enjoy. Transform your content creation into a sustainable, fulfilling practice by focusing on topics and formats that genuinely excite you. While audiences' preferences matter, authenticity is key to long-term success and mental well-being. Choose topics that naturally spark your curiosity and enthusiasm. Experiment with content formats that play into your strengths. Allow your genuine personality to shine through your content. Create content that aligns with your values and beliefs. 2. Invest in skill development. Build a strong foundation for your content creation by continuously improving your technical and creative abilities. This investment helps you stand out authentically while reducing comparison anxiety. 3. Develop a content retirement strategy. So, maintain the quality and relevance of your online presence through managing your older content. So this approach showcases your growth while preserving your creative history. So here are different ways you can retire your content and then transfer into a new era. The first way is archive highlights. Create a dedicated archive or past work section for where you can preserve notable older content while still marking it as from a previous phase of your work. Next, timeline post. Create content that explicitly shows your evolution, highlighting key transitions and growth moments from your creative journey, including before and after comparisons, reflection pieces on your growth, etc. Content disclaimers. Add notes or updates to older content explaining how your perspective changed. Next, portfolio refresh. Regularly update your featured work or portfolio to showcase your current best content and style. Platform transitions. Consider moving to new platforms or creating a separate account that better aligns with your current direction. Series ending. Formally conclude old content series and announce new directions with clear messaging about the change. Lastly, strategically unlisting. Rather than deleting content entirely, consider unlisting older content that no longer represents your current work while maintaining access for those with direct links. Number 4, document your creative process. Create a comprehensive record of your content creation journey to track growth and maintain motivation. This practice provides valuable insights and emotional support during challenging times. So, this can include things like a daily creation log or journal, behind the scenes content, milestone tracking, learning moments and breakthroughs, audience feedback, and impact stories. 5. Build a content buffer. By creating content in batches during periods of high energy and motivation, creators can maintain consistent posting schedules while giving themselves the flexibility to take a break if needed. This approach slightly reduces stress by providing kind of like a cushion for creative blocks and allowing adequate time for content refinement. Most importantly, having pre-prepared content helps creators navigate unexpected life changes smoothly without compromising their posting consistency or feeling pressure to create during difficult times. Number 6, practice selective engagement. This allows creators to maintain meaningful connections while protecting their energy levels. You can do this by setting dedicated times for responding to comments, focusing on constructive discussions, and establishing clear community guidelines. The approach emphasizes quality over quantity in interactions, allowing creators to delegate engagement tasks when necessary and prioritize authentic connections with their audience and community. This balanced method helps prevent burnout while maintaining a strong presence. 7, create content cycles. Have a structured content planning system that helps reduce mental exhaustion by eliminating the constant need to make decisions on what to post and when to post it. This systematic approach allows creators to maintain consistent audience engagement while preserving creative energy and avoid burnout through organized planning of themes, categories, and schedules. This can look like monthly theme planning, weekly content categories, regular series scheduling, seasonal content rotation, and content type variation. 8, focus on growth over numbers. So shifting the focus from quantitative metrics like follower counts and views to qualitative measures help creators maintain a healthier mindset by emphasizing personal growth and meaningful impact. Track things like progress in specific skills or techniques, improvements in content depth and quality of interactions with audience members, personal fulfillment from creating, real impact on your community, so you can stay motivated by creative progress rather than getting caught up with the stress of chasing numbers. That's all for today's episode. As per usual, the final segment is the card pull and what I'm grateful for. So if this is usually when you click off, don't forget, if you found this helpful, to subscribe and leave a review. And now for the card pull. Just like last week, we are using the Starseed deck by Rebecca Campbell, and this is the card received. Hyreth, longing for home, homesick for the stars. Hyreth is a Welsh word that's difficult to translate, but it refers to a certain longing or homesickness, a yearning for a home or a place to which we cannot return. This unexplained, unshakable longing for a home is common in starseeds and old souls. Perhaps you've had it since birth. For some, it's a distant memory of planet, galaxy, or star system in the universe that their soul remembers and yearns to return to. A place they may have experienced more than Earth. For others, is a longing for unity of source, a remembering of interconnected oneness. This yearning can lead to some starseeds to travel, searching all corners of the planet to find a physical place that feels more like home. For others, it can manifest as a need to find home in people, communities, and relationships. A journey to find somewhere they truly belong. If you resonate with this yearning for home but don't really know where home is, you're being invited to remember that your soul chose to be on Earth. You're being called to fully commit to embodying your life. You're being reassured that you didn't come here alone and that your soul is consciously decided to experience what it's like to be a soul in a human body on this planet at this time. You're being called to anchor all of your presence, your personality, your soul, and your spirit in the here and now, to fully commit to living this life right now, to commit to putting 2 feet completely in. Starseed Inquiry. How can you commit more fully to your life? It's crazy how much our topic today connects with the card we pulled. Just like starseeds are looking for their place in the universe, we're all trying to find our corner of the internet where we feel like we belong. When the card talks about fully committing, it's basically telling us to be real online. Whether we're making content or just scrolling, for creators that means staying true to yourself instead of chasing trends. For everyone else, it means finding those online spaces that actually make you feel good and not drained. Just like the card said, we're not alone in this universe, and we don't have to do this digital thing solo either. If we're smart about how we use social media and who we connect with, we can build online communities where everyone could just be more authentic. Now for what I'm grateful for. So on my TikTok, my favorite author liked and reposted one of my videos. It was a random video showing my collection from her and how she is this close to having her own shelf because I own every series she's ever written. Honestly, it was something so small, but it meant so much to me. And to this day, I am still getting likes and reposts on that video on the account I used, even though it's more of a random spam account, since sometimes I hate posting on my regular TikTok because too much people in my non-digital life knows that account, so I feel like I can't talk about things that actually matter to me or be more silly or nerdy because it's not just strangers, and I definitely overthink less about my content on my spam account. So it brings me a lot more peace. That is it, my friends. You're a real one for making it to the end. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of A Little Atypical. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe, share with someone who might need to hear this message, and remember to view the description box where you can find important links such as the one to my website where there is bonus content. And just to give y'all a sneak peek, a sneak update, we'll be talking about AI in terms of wellness and personal development. So make sure to come back next week. And until next time, have a good day, evening, or night, and stay authentically atypical. Okay, bye.